All right, we're jumping ahead in time. 1992. So typically I cover from the 70s and 80s, the TV guides. This one is from January of 1992. So the landscape changed in the 90s. Cable came in, Fox Channel came in. I was at college, so I wasn't watching TV as much. So we'll see. I might have some hot takes. There's definitely some things from the 90s that I like, some things that are from the 90s that I don't. And I'm going to be honest, so we'll see how it goes. Let's get into it. January of 92, John Goodman on the cover. He was huge at that time. You had Roseanne. He was in the movies. He had the Babe Ruth movie. He had the Flintstones movie. So early to mid 90s, John Goodman was definitely a huge star. Who remembers the Ford Escort? Affordable car for those of us that couldn't afford super great cars. All right. Yeah, and these, I think these ones from the 90s are going to be fun because they do have a lot of ads and so forth. So there should be a lot of good stuff in here. There's Katie Seagal from Married with Children. Yeah, I think this is a college bowl season, so I think we're going to see some of that in this TV guide. Here's some 3D printed sausages for you. Yeah, here's that Babe Ruth movie. People don't like that movie, I guess. I thought it was fun. Yeah, Roseanne was huge at that time. Probably one of the top shows. Oh, look at this ad. See, this is great. Super Nintendo was out. In 92, I still had a Nintendo. Guess if you had money, you would have gotten a Super Nintendo. I didn't get one till like 95 or so. But how great is this with those game cartridges? 48 bucks a piece. They're pretty pricey for back in the day. Yeah, I would usually get my console after it went on sale, so I think I got mine when it was marked down to like $130 or something. Of course, they never do that anymore. Here we go, full page double article about some dude who lies for a living. Gotta love it. Here's Katie Seagal with her hair down. So as we know, Married with Children, she wore her hair all teased up. So she does look different when she's got normal hair. Oh wow, talking about she had a miscarriage. There's that guy from Knots Landing. Talking about Luke Perry. I mean, we're dead in the 90s now. We got Roseanne, we got 90210, we got Jay Leno replacing Carson. If you grew up in the 90s, you probably, hopefully, love a lot of this stuff. Good old Jay. Go get some portraits at Sears for 13 bucks. Pretty good deal. Do people do portraits anymore? Everything's just a selfie now. RIP portraits. Got some people feature here, nobody I recognize. And you're saying it's the best of 91 though. Maybe we should scan this real quick. I mean, if this was the best of 91, it's got to be some good stuff. Oh, this is soaps. That's why I don't know. Okay, we will definitely move on. Star Trek. Oh, that's the Star Trek movie. I was about to say Next Generation. Yeah, they're still doing the top rentals at this time, so that's fun. We used to rent videos, rent movies. And let's see what was going on in 91. I definitely remember Backdraft. Out for Justice. I think that was Steven Seagal. Silence of the Lambs. I've been watching some old Siskel and Eberts on YouTube, and man, Siskel was really wrong about a lot of stuff. He hated Silence of the Lambs. It's kind of hilarious to look back and see them hate some movie that was like an Oscar-winning great movie. Ebert liked it, but Siskel didn't. What About Bob? Dances with Wolves, what a great movie. Rage in Harlem was great. Home Alone, come on. Cheers and Jeers are kind of fun. Let's see who they're jeersing. They like Shatner for some reason. They're jeersing a ghoulish new Diet Coke commercial. Oh, they're jeersing it because they're like bringing back Humphrey Bogart and stuff. And now, of course, they're doing that in movies where they like bring dead actors back. So how far are we fallen? Oh, I vaguely remember this show, I think. Nurses. Looks like it didn't do well. Oliver Stone. They're talking about trying to show his movies on network TV. I mean, network TV is not the place to watch movies. You got to watch them with the original, uncut, no commercials. Dead Poets, who remembers that? So that was a great movie. Lots of good stuff in the early 90s. Four-star movies. Oh no, this would be HBO and so forth. I think there's a whole section where they have some of the movies, and we'll get a little deeper into that when we get to that section. Yeah, I wasn't reading or getting TV Guide in the 90s, so I don't remember this. They've kind of expanded this front section a little bit. Got a whole section on children's stuff, I guess. I wonder if Barney the Dinosaur is out yet. Yeah, they always had a sports page. There's Desmond Howard. He struck the Heisman pose. They don't do it like that anymore. Looks like this is another one from the Charlotte, North Carolina area. So this would cover that region. And quite a few cable channels now. All right, it always starts off on Saturday morning. And I was no longer watching cartoons, but we got a cartoon called Smoggies. I have no idea what that is. I think this is a Back to the Future cartoon. I was watching Saved by the Bell in '92. Love that show. Where's Waldo cartoon? Wow, that's scary. I mean, Where's Waldo was big, but I didn't realize he had his own cartoon in the 90s. What could that have possibly been? Wonder if he like blended into the crowd every episode or something. Some cartoon called Mr. Bogus. Some children's show called Mr. Knows It. Some funny looking stuff here. Space Cats. Yeah, I was out of the loop, so if you remember any of these, awesome. I do remember Killer Tomatoes cartoon, but I don't remember Space Cats. Yeah, it's a lot more. If you've seen any of my other episodes, the earlier TV guys, there's just not as much. I mean, that was a lot of stuff just in like half hour. We're only up to 8:30. So yeah, a lot more to choose from in the 90s. Yo Yogi. I wonder if that was like some kind of Yogi the Bear revival or something. I do vaguely remember the Super Mario cartoon, and of course Darkwing Duck was good. Beetlejuice cartoon. Tasmania. Yeah, for some reason Taz got really popular in the 90s. Personally, I think that's kind of weird, but it is what it is. There's lots of weird stuff in the 90s, let's be honest. You had Teletubbies. You had some weird stuff, folks. Some children's show called Chip and Pepper. Pirates of Dark Water. Yeah, none of these ring a bell for me, so hopefully some of you all remember these from the 90s. I mean, everybody remembers Saved by the Bell and so forth. Got Lenny Kravitz on Ebony Jet Showcase. He would have been putting out some good songs at that time. About the only time he put out good songs was like 91. You're getting some hot takes from me. You know how it's going to work. So during the day, looks like maybe some... I think we'll see about the bowl games later in this guide. Yeah, I guess Saturday, this would have been after Christmas, December 28th. Probably some bowl games on. I don't know, the bowl climate has changed so much. They've got like 1 million bowl games now. It used to be bowl games were like pretty important. Now there's like 50 of them. NFL playoffs going on. All right, Saturday night. Are they going to give us... Yeah, we'll see what's on Saturday night in just a moment. Looks like they're giving us some guidelines. Sinbad, I remember that. Sisters was big. Anybody remember Sisters? I think it ran for like 5 seasons. All right, let's see what's on Saturday evening in 1991/92. Yeah, this is December, so the end of 91 and the first couple of days of 92 is what this is covering here. Lou Rawls Telethon has pretty unwatchable stuff. P.S. I Love You. I vaguely remember that. Empty Nest, Nurses, and Sisters. And here's the bowl game, Colorado versus Alabama, but those would have been really good teams at that time. Yeah, we got Sinbad and Friends, Young Riders, and the Commish. Who remembers the Commish? I'm going to take a quick peek back here and see which channel is Fox. So Fox is 18. We'll keep an eye out for that. Yeah, Rock. So Fox is showing Cops and then Rock. Who remembers Rock? And Get a Life. That was a funny... silly, funny show with Chris Elliott. Yeah, I don't know why, but I watched The Commish a few times when I was in college. I guess there's something appealing to me about it. And we will likely see some ads that bring some of these to life, so that's another thing that's fun about going through these TV guides. P.S. I Love You. Connie Selica. I mean, I'd tune in for that. Might have to look that up on YouTube. Looks like she's the main star, because then they just got some guest stars. Nobody in particular guest starring. So what is going on here with this lady's hair? The Adventures of Robin Hood. I guess that's Maid Marian with the... Stevie Wonder beads. Oh, is this a show? Jeez. That looks super cheesy. But, you know, this was the era of, well, I don't know. We'll see. Golden Girls. Cops. Empty Nest. That was a big show. The Young Riders was pretty big for a couple years. I liked Rock. It was a good show. There's that Nurses show we saw. Yeah, Sisters had, what's her name in it? Selah Ward. She was kind of the main star. And then that chick who was married to Bruce Springsteen for like a year. Julianne Phillips, was that her name? Yeah. Not a lot of ads. Hoping for more ads, but maybe Saturday wasn't the prime night. Sunday morning, Siskel and Ebert's going to review Prince of Tides and Grand Canyon. So if you're a 90s movie buff, you might know those movies. of gospel stuff on Sunday mornings. People would buy these guys and not necessarily look through every day. They might just, grab it when they're home in the evening and see what's coming on. So they, you wouldn't necessarily go through all this the way we are. Yeah, it says NFL playoffs. Be nice to know who was in it, but I guess they didn't know when they printed up the TV guide, so you'd have to see commercials and stuff. Here's the Independence Bowl coming on. Georgia Bulldogs and the Razorbacks. By the 90s, they were probably already expanding some of the bowl games. Yeah, I wonder if they do this for every night. They got these little guidelines. It's like Tyne Daly's in some movie, maybe. Let's see what's going on. Sunday night. Murder, She Wrote still on in 91, 92. America's Funniest Home Videos. That was a pretty funny show the first few years. Kind of VHS recording was kind of new. People record themselves. Lots of movies on Sunday night. Married with Children, Herman's Head. I vaguely remember that. In living color, how great was that? Going back and looking at some of those living color skits, they were probably better than Saturday Night Live. Just more raw, just more funny, just funnier stuff. Ghost Dad, I think that was a huge flop in the theaters. Cosby made some weird movies. He made that Leonard Part 6, he made Ghost Dad. Homie the Clown is going to be on in living color. Who remembers Homie the Clown? Here's that Tyne Daly movie. Guess she's a homeless person. Yeah, lots of movies. So, again, if they have ads, it might bring some context, but otherwise, it might be just something we don't remember. All right, so we're getting into Monday morning. So if you were a kid in the 90s getting up before school, you might watch Chip and Dale cartoon. Dennis the Menace cartoon. I was a Richie Rich guy in the 80s. I don't know if I watched many of the Dennis the Menace cartoons. DuckTales was huge. I think everybody loved that one. James Bond Jr. cartoon, that's definitely a snapshot from the 90s. Yeah, if you had these cable channels, there was plenty to choose from. During the day, it's like soap operas and talk shows, so there's not a lot to talk about. And during the day on the weekdays. Sometimes it's fun to see in the afternoon what cartoons are on and stuff. G.I. Joe's still running. I wonder if those have been reruns in 92. I'm guessing they would have been. Man, they go pretty quickly into just regular shows. I guess you could watch Beetlejuice cartoon at 4. All right, Monday evening. We got something about the USSR. And the Soviet Union would have just about been collapsing at that point. All right, so Monday night, Davis Rules, Major Dad, Murphy Brown, Northern Exposure. That's a good snapshot of the early 90s. Northern Exposure. What was the girl on there? Fresh Prince and Blossom. I really enjoyed the Fresh Prince when I was in college. MacGyver's still on. Lots of movies again. I wonder if, like, because this is like holiday season, right before New Year's, that maybe some of the shows were like kind of in a week or two hiatus because all the bowl games and other stuff on. Mariah Carey, she was as big as it gets in the early 90s. Her first couple albums, so good. Anybody seen the clip of her where they're asking her about electricity and she thinks electricity is free in America? It's a great clip. If you haven't seen it, you can probably find it on online. Star Trek The Next Generation. Who in the comments remembers, did that come on like a VHF channel? I don't think that came on like the big three, but yet it was a huge show. So I'm a little confused about the whole history of Next Gen. Yeah, here we go. So this tells us Davis Rules is this Jonathan Winters dude or whatever. So that looks like something that nobody under the age of 60 would watch. Major Dad, Murphy Brown, Designing Women. Yeah, what a great lineup right there for CBS. Age 7 in the USSR. Soviet kids discuss their lives. Corky. Who remembers Corky? Everybody loved Corky. Alright, so there's another bowl game. Sounds kind of boring with Iowa and BYU. Alright, Tuesday morning, same as Monday most likely. Joan Rivers is going to talk to Estelle Getty on her talk show. Tiny Toons was a very good cartoon in the 90s. I'm guessing this was before Batman the Animated Series and before the X-Men cartoon. So Tiny Toons would have been one of the best ones on at this time. Yeah, this is New Year's Eve, so there's probably going to be some specials on instead of some of the normal programming. But that's all right. That's fun to see what they were doing in 91. We got Rescue 911 and then a movie. We'll try to look at 11:30 or so and see what the New Year's stuff is. King Orange Jamboree Parade. Merv Griffin's New Year's? Good grief. Who's watching that in 1991? Looks like this channel's just going normal. Full House, Home Improvement, Roseanne Coach. Yeah, that was probably some of their best shows, so why wouldn't you? Who remembers Home Improvement? I really like that show. New WKRP. I wonder what that is. And I wish they had more ads because I would love to know what that is. Maybe we'll try to look it up at 8 o'clock. A lot of times by the time I flip to the page, I already forgot. All right, let's see what this new KRP is. So they must have like relaunched it in the 90s. The new WKRP in Cincinnati. And I'm guessing they didn't bring any of the stars back because they got some person named Lightfield Lewis. I bet that's horrible. I bet we should look that one up. Full House was huge. There's Donna Mills. We know her. We love her. We tune in for Donna Mills. We're pro Donna Mills on this channel. Home Improvement. Video Soul, yeah, if we had BET, that's what you would watch right there. You'd probably see Mariah Carey on there. Merv Griffith. Let's see who Merv Griffith has on there. Does he at least have some relevant stars? Doesn't look like it. Got some stars from the 60s or something. It's a fun ad. Check this out. Wow, so Guns N' Roses. That would have been back when they were actually good. On this New Year's Eve. And Sam Kinison, that would have been pretty awesome. Who cares about Penn and Teller? But that would have been pretty cool. So Fox was going for it back in '91. And then Dick Clark was the staple. Stephen Baldwin, not sure why we want to see him. DJ Jazzy Jeff, Vanessa Williams had some songs out. Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. We'll leave it at that. Boys to Men, that's a pretty strong lineup. And that looks like, what's her name? Yeah, Shannon Doherty. Notoriously mean person to like all her co-stars, even on Little House when she was a kid. Apparently she was even mean back then. All right, so that would have been the Dick Clark, but it looks like some of these other channels got some stuff going on too. So this is the one on Fox that we just saw. Yeah, Sam Kinison was crushing it back then. Ozzy Osbourne, Rod Stewart. Yeah, that Fox one has a lot of good people on it. Here's a hard rock one, not to be confused with this one. And they've got Sting, INXS, Dire Straits, Neville Brothers. That's pretty strong. Yeah, lots of good music during that time. There would be a reason to tune in. Now you tune in and it's these same stars. They're like 60 and they're still trying to sing and stuff. All right, here's that bowl preview. I don't know if we'll linger too long on it, but it's kind of cool that they printed this up in the TV guide. So, and these are the January 1 bowls, I think. Yeah, these are just the New Year's Day ones, so these would probably be the ones you'd want to watch. Syracuse was definitely good back then. NC State was good. I did not remember that. I don't remember NC State ever being good. Florida State was good. Clemson was good. Yeah, this is kind of a snapshot into the early 90s. I know Wolverines and Washington was maybe the top 2 teams at that time. Because notice Washington's undefeated. So were the Hurricanes. I think the Hurricanes won it that year. The championship. What is this? So we're into Wednesday morning, I think. Yeah. But we got something called Jammin' 91. Counting down the 30 hottest. Oh, that'd probably be fun, especially if it was on regular TV, because a lot of us still didn't have cable and MTV. So you see all these great acts. I mean, this is a great snapshot into 91. MJ, Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, Lenny Kravitz, LL, Color Me Bad. Who remembers Color Me Bad and Gerardo? I remember all these because I was listening to all this stuff back then. Hammer. I was never a Hammer guy. Janet, Vanilla Ice. I was a Vanilla Ice guy, sad to admit. Paula Abdul. Yeah, this is a great snapshot into that era. And then check out this with this. Oh, that's the Tournament of Roses. Okay. Yeah, this would be some New Year's Day programming. Here's some great ads. Yeah, maybe the Orange Bowl was like to determine the national championship. So back then, maybe that was the game. If you made it to the Orange Bowl, you were possibly going to be national champions. All right, there's that Davis Rules show again. Brooklyn Bridge, that rings a bell. I guess Jake and the Fat Man was still on in 91, 92. And then some bowl games in prime time on New Year's Day. So, yeah, we're not seeing the normal 91 lineup, but that's fine. Here's the Davis Rules. Well, I guess other than Jonathan Winters, it's a young cast. There's what's her name, Bonnie. She's been in movies and stuff. She's fun. And there's Giovanni, what's his face? Oh, Randy Quaid, there you go. He's entertaining. Love him or hate him, he's an entertaining dude. So this might have been a fun show, actually. And I'm guessing it didn't last. Yeah, this Brooklyn Bridge rings a bell. On Geraldo, they're talking about female bikers. Tune in for that. Let's see what's going on Thursday evening. King of Comedy. That's a pretty good movie that if I remember correctly. Knots Landing's coming on. The Simpsons. We'll see the lineup here, though. Top Cops. Yeah, it rings a bell, too. P.S. I Love You. Did we ever see what that was? The P.S. I Love You thing? Cosby, Different World, Cheers, Wings, L.A. Law. That's pretty strong. Yeah, Wings was popular for a couple years, but didn't really last. Pros and Cons and Extreme Edge. Simpsons, Drexel's Class, Beverly Hills 90210. That's pretty strong. I don't think I ever watched one episode of 90210, but it was huge. And then they came with Melrose Place after that. Let's see if we can get any details on this P.S. I Love You thing. An escaped mental patient. Oh, that's the Connie Selica show. Yeah, we just don't have any pictures to give us any context. Connie Selica from, do you all remember? She was on Greatest American Hero. All right, getting into Friday. Dead Poets Society, I guess they're going to show that on regular TV. Yeah, it looks like that's going to be a movie on regular TV. You better watching it and rental it so you don't get the commercials. Matlock, Dear John. I like that Dear John show for whatever reason. Family Matters, Step by Step. That's a good snapshot into the 80s. Urkel was apparently like had a huge ego, and he even got one of the people fired, I think. Reasonable Doubts. I don't really know what that is. Maybe we'll see a couple ads. That's a funny Robin Williams like Photoshop job there because they made his hair look weird. But still great that they put some ads in here to give us some context. Ray Bradbury Theater. I think I remember that as well. Swamp Thing. This is kind of, some people like this show. It's kind of a cult classic, I think. I don't know if it ran 1 or 2 seasons or so. Arsenio's got Harrison Ford and Richard Greco and Sean Young. That's pretty strong. Yeah, we were watching Arsenio in 91, 92. Definitely we're watching Leno, for goodness sakes. All right, let's see what's in the back. There's always some interesting things, like this movie guide is fun because, and I only learned this from flipping through these with you all, they always had this movie guide through the 80s for like the pay channels, like HBO, Cinemax. But in the late 80s, TV guys started adding their own ratings, and some of these are funny to look at. because sometimes they'll give like a 1-star rating to a good movie. So these ratings make this kind of fun. I'm just scanning these real quick. They really like this Anchors Away movie. They didn't like Action Jackson too much. I can't argue with that. It's just a kind of mindless action movie. Oh, Back to the Future 2 they didn't like. I've never seen Back to the Future 2. As far as I'm concerned, there's only one, and that's the first one. Just scanning these because I know some of these ratings are going to be funny. Care Bears 2 movie. Looks like they thought that was okay. Hamlet with Mel Gibson. I think I tried to sit through that movie before. Days of Thunder they didn't like too much. I can't argue. Dick Tracy, remember the Warren Beatty? Madonna was in it. They liked that pretty good. They liked Edward Scissorhands. Never seen that movie. Not seen a lot of 1-stars. Guess they don't go too hard on any of these movies. They really liked Glory. Glory was a pretty good movie. Definitely a memorable movie from that era. Denzel, great performance. Morgan Freeman, great performance. Probably the 2 best stars of that movie. Yeah, they liked Godfather 2. That's kind of an easy one to rate. They didn't like Hard Ticket to Hawaii. I think that's one of those Skinamax type movies. I don't think you're watching it for the plot. They liked the Kid and Play movie pretty good. That's kind of interesting. Less Than Zero is a good movie. It's definitely better than 2 stars. If you don't remember Less Than Zero, such a snapshot of the 80s. Not your typical Brat Pack movie. Holds up in my opinion. I think it still holds up today. James Spader's excellent in it. Definitely better than 2 stars. They're on crack with that rating right there. Misery, I bet they gave that a good rating, because how could you not? Let's see what they gave Misery. Miller's Crossing. I saw that in theaters. Yeah, they gave Misery 3 stars. I guess that's fair. Alright, I'm not seeing any that are like super funny or really way off. Other than Less Than Zero, come on, that's at least a 3 or 4 star movie. Got the great song by the Bangles. Pretty Woman was out. Huge, huge movie. Probably the one that rocketed Julia Roberts into stardom. They didn't like Rocky 3 too much. Man, Rocky 3's got everything you want in a Rocky movie. It's got Mr. T. It's got Hulk Hogan. Anybody remember Runaway Train? Really good, tense movie. If you haven't seen that, look for it. Make sure you see it commercial free. The Two Jakes. They didn't like Spies Like Us? Come on. Spies Like Us gave you what you wanted. It's a silly, funny movie. Alright. We saw some fun ones. We didn't see too many hot takes that we could argue with here in their little ratings. Again, these are just ratings that the TV Guide staff came up with. Yeah, they gave Young Guns 2 the same rating they gave Less Than Zero. There's no way. I'm going to write a letter to the TV Guide. Yeah, they started doing these horoscopes. I never got into that, but they started doing these very late 80s, early 90s. And we're no longer in the cigarette ad era, so that's a little disappointing just for the fun factor, but we do have one alcohol ad to close it out. All right, 1992, Thanks for joining me. See you next time.